106.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
It's now time for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. You can also watch live on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Bryan Pasquale.
What if I told you the Steelers are the clear favorites this weekend at Denver? What if I told you no matter who the Steelers quarterback is, the Steelers have a huge advantage at the most important position? What if I told you the Steelers have a much better defense than the Broncos? What if I told you there's no ways the Steelers lose this game? What if I told you this type of game is exactly the type of game Mike Tomlin historically loses? Last Sunday afternoon, the Steelers went into Atlanta as a 3.5 underdog. Russell Wilson was unavailable due to a calf injury. Insert Justin Fields and no problems. The refereeing was bad throughout the game. The Steelers had a couple in-game injuries. The Steelers' offense had one trip to the red zone and turned it over on downs. As predicted by me, the Steelers didn't score over 20 points. However, the Steelers came away with yet another sloppy win and found themselves on top of the AFC North all alone. The Bengals only put up 10 and lost to the Patriots. They go on the road to Kansas City at 4:25 this Sunday. The Browns got shellacked by the Cowboys in front of their home crowd. Deshaun Watson embarrassed himself more than he did at the massage parlors. The Browns, like the Bengals, moved to 0-1 and faced the Jaguars on the road at 1 p.m. this Sunday. We all saw the ending of Thursday night's game where Lamar Fraud Jackson missed an open receiver on first down, then came back to miss a wide-open Flowers on second down. Then, with 5 seconds left, he ran around in the pocket until he found Likely in the back of the end zone for a TD. Harbaugh signaled for 2. But we all know Likely didn't come down with the ball in bounds. The Ravens host the Raiders this week, Sunday at 1. First place in division, Ryan, all alone on top of the AFC North. They are in control of their own destiny, and only after 1 week.
Not bloody likely. I love it. Bryan, here we are, top of the division, only team in the division, and we are the only team that didn't score a touchdown in the division. If any team could do it, it's this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They've been sloppy over the past 3 years, and I'm beginning to think they like it, Bryan.
They do. Well, everyone, welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas, so you can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to noon on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers, that's D-U-M. Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio, Facebook Live, and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today, if you'd like to have a chance to chime in, please call at 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Yes, the Steelers, first place, Ryan.
You know what? And I know you really call this a trap game for Mike Tomlin in your opening segment. But Bryan, this is the kind of game I think that the Steelers come out, they show out, they make us think that they're better than they are. We're going to see a Steelers team today this weekend that's confident. I think the Steelers team is going to get some things done. I think they're going to put the ball in the end zone. And after this game is over, Steeler Nation's going to be calling for the Super Bowl. You know how we do every year. But Bryan, I do think this one's going to be big. After that, we come home to play the Chargers. We'll talk more about that later. But I do believe that this game here is going to be a confidence booster for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So you're saying that about 4 o'clock on... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It would be about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night after the game, since we have the, 4:25 start, I said.
Yes.
So about 8 o'clock on Sunday, everybody's going to be buying their Super Bowl tickets?
Super Bowl tickets will be bought. They'll be ordered. Bryan, I'm telling you, I don't think that there's any way that the Steelers could... Listen, we've seen this play out before. Of course, it's going to be crazy. Of course, we're going to have a heart attack. Of course, we're going to be sweating bullets. But yes, we will win this football game. Bryan, their starting quarterback was their leading rusher of this game, rookie Bo Nix. I don't really think that there's many things about this team that's going to be a problem, especially with Pittsburgh's strong defense. As long as Fields in the offense is able to put some kind of points on the board, it's going to be a good game for us, and I don't think that's going to be a problem because Denver's defense ain't that great either.
Now, the Steelers when they went to the Super Bowl in Detroit, they had to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, the number 3 team. They had to beat the Indianapolis Colts, the number 2 team. And then they had to go onto the road to Denver and beat the number 2 seed. They just blew them out of Denver. It wasn't even a game. All 3 games that they played were close. The Bengals, the Colts, and then obviously in the Super Bowl versus the Seattle Seahawks, the number 1 seed from the NFC. That was close. Is this just a blowout? Like, we literally have heart attack games every single Sunday or Monday or Thursday or whenever they play. Can we win one without the heart attack?
If we win one without the heart attack this season, I believe it's this game. That's why I think the Steelers need to take advantage. You know, as I say over and over, we have to figure out a way to stack wins early. You hit the second half of the season, Bryan, you're hitting a very, very, very hard schedule. And this is one of the games that I think that they are going to win, that's going to look like we're a pretty decent football team. As I said, you play the Chargers after that with Harbaugh and Justin Herbert coming to town, and then you go up against the Colts team after that. You know, they kept in it with the Houston Texans this past week. And so I do think that we go in, we win this one in convincing fashion. It is going to be deceptive because at the end of the day, yes, we will be ordering our Super Bowl tickets like we do in Pittsburgh here. But I do think they win this one. I think they do it in convincing fashion. But at the end of the day, this team still is what this team still is. That's a team with a darn good defense and an offense that we're still trying to figure out how to get the ball in the end zone.
Well, you know, I honestly think outside of some poor coaching and some bad refereeing, that the Steelers should have won that game by multiple touchdowns. You look at the Pickens, I'm sorry, not Kenny Pickett, good Lord. That's bringing back nightmares. The Pickens reception down the left field or the left sideline where they called offensive pass interference. If they call that offensive pass interference, then there's offensive pass interference on every play.
Absolutely. And you know what? The announcer even made the point to say that during the game. He said, you know what? We see worse on every given play in the NFL. You know what, Bryan? I don't know if it's just the referee shaking the rust off. I hope it's nothing more than that. But there were a handful of calls that should have went the Steelers' way that either they weren't called at all or were called against Pittsburgh. And I didn't see it for Atlanta as much. So, again, we'll watch the second week. We'll see if it is the officiating. But it was particularly bad against Pittsburgh.
I believe the referees looked like they were out there during a pregame or a preseason game. Don't you feel like that? You know, the whistle blows and Najee Harris gets his helmet ripped off his head. That had to freaking hurt.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't know whether they didn't see that. I don't know how they don't see that. But again, that's a big.
Like, what else are you looking at?
That's a big penalty.
He was the middle of the play.
And one thing you could guarantee, Bryan, if we were pulling the helmet off of somebody, they would have certainly caught us. But again, I don't want to say anything. We'll see how week 2 goes. But it was particularly bad, against us. Now,
the call on 4th and 1 with about 7 minutes and change to play.
Hated it.
And you're up 15-10. So you're up 5. A field goal is how many, Ryan?
It'll put them at an 8-point lead.
An 8-point lead. So if Kirk Cousins gets his head out of his butt, which he didn't all game, except for that one drive, if he gets his head out of his butt and he drives them down, they have to get the 2-point conversion just to tie the game.
Yes.
We decide to go for it anyway, and it looked like 5 offensive linemen weren't ready to block on the play either. Like, what happened there? You
know what? That certainly, when the results were out and it was said and done and the quarterback was on the ground, it felt that way. Here you go. You have an offensive line built of rookies, non-starters, and that was a strange call for me. Again, you take that 3 points. I don't know where Coach Tomlin and the offense found the confidence to try to convert. Again, this offense isn't a team that's really doing great things offensively, but defensively you are. So kick the field goal, let your one of your top defenses in the league, as they say, come out, stop these guys, and get this thing out of the way. No, he goes for it. They missed. They failed the conversion. They give the ball back with a 5-point lead. I don't know what they were thinking. That was a dumb call.
All right, so Tom Brady made his debut on Sunday, and I want to get into that later, but Tom Brady, 4th and 1 there, he gets like 3 or 4 yards on a quarterback sneak. How does Justin Fields, who's 9 zillion times more athletic than Tom Brady, not move the pile at all?
Again, you got to kind of come back to the inexperience of the offensive line, I think. Execution is everything, and you do have a rookie. I'm not saying he didn't play well. I think our rookie played very well at center. I think that Spencer Anderson played very well at left guard, but at the end of the day, this is something that you want to do when you're confident in what you have going on. Maybe the element of surprise. I don't know what he was going with, but at the end of the day, you take that 3 points every time. You go up by 8, and as you said, force the other team to put up a touchdown, which they haven't done since the first half, and get the 2-point conversion, which is only going to tie it and gives you an opportunity after that. So I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know, Brian.
Here's my question, and I saw last year Kenny Pickett. Every time there was a 3rd and short or 4th and short and a quarterback sneak was called, he went behind Siamalu, who was out because of the injury. So you have Daniels in at left guard. They seemed to run that same play, and it got blown up. Is the fact that Siamalu wasn't in there, maybe that was the big reason why that play was unsuccessful? I mean, it's one of the reasons. Yeah, I do believe that Siamalu is in there. It makes a big difference. The guy's a veteran. The guy's been in the Super Bowl, and he is considered to be our top offensive lineman. So, yes, not having him in there, of course, was a big thing. Yeah, well, speaking of offensive linemen, I just want to talk about today. Broderick Jones was practicing at left tackle today.
Interesting.
Yeah, Troy Fatano was practicing at right tackle. Not because they're beating out Dan Moore Jr., but because Dan Moore Jr. has an ankle injury.
Yeah.
This offensive line's starting to worry me, which we had a lot of depth going into the season, and right now we're missing a center for the year. We're missing a left guard for at least a month, and we don't know what's going on with Broderick Jones. Or, I'm sorry, Dan Moore Jr.
Yeah, no, I mean, hopefully this starts going in our favor. One thing that I did see, going into this week, Brian, you hear the Roman Wilson's going to be coming back. You of course, Fatanu. So these are positive steps. Again, we were injury riddled early. And I think the key from here is once we get these guys back, let's try to keep everybody healthy, because if you fight that injury bug all season, that's a recipe for disaster. Hopefully, as I say, hopefully, now you're seeing them come back, let's keep them healthy.
All right, so let's talk a little bit before we get into the upcoming game versus the Denver Broncos. I would like to kind of just review what you liked from last game on the offensive side of the ball and what you didn't like that you hope that they improve moving into next Sunday versus the Broncos. What did you like first, and what do we need to improve?
I loved the fact that they incorporated their tight end and the fact that he was productive. I think if you look around the league with George Kittle out in San Francisco, with Travis Kelce in Kansas City, with anywhere that has a productive tight end, these teams always seem to be successful. It really adds an element to the game, and especially today, you have a lot of big-name wide receivers, you have big-name quarterbacks, running backs. I think once you get the tight end, really implemented in your game plan, that makes a difference. I love that. And I like the fact that George Pickens caught everything. You threw the ball. It wasn't a great throw. You've seen him kind of come back into the middle of the field to make that one throw where he did the acrobat thing and he got up and jumped down. And, I like those two things. I think there's other things to like, but off the top, for me, I love seeing Freiermuth involved, and I love seeing Pickens being consistent because, again, he's number one. You need that from them guys.
All right, let me ask you this one play. We were talking about the 4th and 1 where the Steelers went for it and didn't get it.
Yeah.
The play before was 3rd and 1. And throughout the game, I don't even think you made an attempt to throw the ball to Van Jefferson all game. And here you go with the new offensive coordinator who likes to trick the defense versus going to his go-to guys and decides to run some bubble screen to Van Jefferson off the right side. His two blockers out there were what? Austin III and George Pickens.
Yeah.
You could have put two paper bags out there blocking, and that would have been a touchdown. How in the world was that, first off, stopped short of the first down line, but how was that not a touchdown?
I'm questioning the abilities of our number 2 receiver. A lot of people seem to have a lot of confidence in Van Jefferson. Again, as you stated, I think he had 1 catch for 7 yards was his numbers.
No, he had 1 for 1.
1 for 1. Oh, yes. Even better.
Yes. So it should have been a touchdown, though. Yeah. To be honest, it wasn't his fault that the 2 wide receivers that got blown up and just he got smeared by 2 defensive backs.
Yeah, I mean, can you get a smaller guy than Calvin Austin III on the team really to get out there in front?
Now, is Wilson going to be out there next week on, let's say, that play? who's known as like the Hines Ward type of wide receiver?
I hope so. Again, I want to see a lot. I don't know much about this Roman Wilson. Of course, I know he's a national champion. I know that we drafted him, and I know that he had an injury early. I can't wait to get a look at Roman Wilson because these are the things that I'm hearing about him, as you stated, about being a Hines Ward kind of guy.
I mean, you have to block for like 1 second. That's it.
Right.
1 second. They literally got pancaked. And it was almost like a Madden video game where both players just got thrown. And you're like, you call that play, right? Playing the game. And you throw the screen and you're like, this is an easy touchdown. And then all of a sudden, both your guys get pancaked and you think the game's cheating against you.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, you're 100% right for Van Jefferson, which everyone is saying should be the number 2. 1 catch for 1 yard. And
I think he had 2 targets.
Jaylen Warren, 1 catch for 7 yards. So between those two guys there, it was 2 catches for 8 yards. Go down the list, it doesn't get much better. Scotty Miller wasn't anything amazing. It was the George Pickens show. And, maybe hit George Pickens out on one of them screens. I don't know, but yeah, you're right.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we have to go to break here for a couple of minutes. We'll be back with more sports, more Steelers. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
Do you like sports? Then tune in every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale. Bryan is loaded with statistics and interesting sports viewpoints. The show can also be seen on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Plus, Bryan will be taking your calls as well. That's One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale. Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on Beaver County Radio.
I've heard people refer to older veteran athletes as being all washed up. Well, quite frankly, that's a rather nice compliment if you ask me. This is the Aquaman of Beaver County, Jim Riggio from the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority. When you hear something like that, you have to consider the source of the water, that is. After all, getting washed up with Beaver Falls Municipal Authority water can't be a bad thing. That's because for over 80 years, we've made it possible for everyone to feel washed up, even if they are not star athletes. Click bfwater.net.
Hi, this is Bob Barrickman here for Fry Transportation. When it comes to school buses in Beaver County, it sure is hard not to notice the shiny Fry Transportation fleet. Fry Transportation has been a local family-owned Beaver County business for over 30 years. As any successful football team must be dependable and reliable, these same qualities have made Fry Transportation a champion operation. Best wishes to all local teams and safe travels to the gridirons this season. From your friends at Fry Transportation.
Football season is here, and East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Save is your tailgate headquarters. With all the food and beverages you need to make your tailgates and game day parties the best in town. Fire up the grill with their top quality meats, delicious burgers, hot dogs, and chicken wings. Get your cheese and meat platters, dips, and all your game day snacks. Check out their wide variety of wines and the beer cave. Don't miss out on amazing weekly specials and save money at the pump with every dollar you spend. Stop by your Shop and Save at the Tuska Plaza or East Rochester today for everything you need this football season.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. You can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to noon on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers. That's D-U-M. Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio, Facebook Live, and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Last segment, we were talking about the Steelers and how they didn't score a touchdown, and somehow they are in first place in the AFC North. So, Ryan, this upcoming game versus Denver, does Denver have any weapons to scare you?
I mean, they have a receiver that we would love to put on a plane and bring home with us.
Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. I mean, if we could steal him away from them, they'd have nothing. But
maybe we'll just bring him back. After we beat them, we'll just say, "Come on, our bus."
That's all we
Head
got
out
to
to
do.
the airport.
But Bo Nix is their, this rookie.
Tell me about Bo Nix. Is he a fraud?
I don't know if he's going to be a fraud long term, but I mean, right off the top, you got a rookie. It's basically like us, throwing all of our confidence in Kenny last year without having the great defense, without having other things going on. No, Denver, when they win games, it's going to be ugly. It's more than likely going to be against AFC West teams that they know very well, teams that they see twice a season. Again, Bryan, I'm not a gambling man, but if I was to bet, I would put money on this Pittsburgh Steelers team this week. I don't think that there's much chance Denver has. But again, we'll be back here next week, and I'll be telling you why, Denver may have won, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Now, we played C.J. Stroud last year when we were on the road versus the Texans, and he looked like Johnny Unitas.
Yeah.
Is there any chance Bo Nix can do that?
No.
It's week 2, right? It's not like week 7 or 8 where he's got like the butterflies gone and everything figured out. Can Bo Nix do anything against our defense?
No, not this week. I think maybe down the road in the future you might be able to see a little bit out of this guy that that they hope to see in Denver, but not this week, Bryan. It's too early. I think the defense is going to have a field day with this rookie. Just kind of going off of what they did against the offensive line from Atlanta and Kirk Cousins, of course. I think that certainly gives the Steelers an advantage.
Now, a lot of the times last game, we kept handing it off to like this guy that's like 6'8", Patterson.
Yeah.
Like his number like 84 or something ridiculous. And so I'm like, okay, why are we handing off to our tight end?
Yeah. Cordell Patterson, he is listed as a tight end, but he's also going to play some running back.
He got a lot of carries.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's Jalen Warren?
Yeah. I think Jalen Warren's still trying to finish up, get through with that whole injury situation that he was dealing with. But I think that's why you're seeing Cordell. And I don't think that you will see him as much in that role moving forward with Warren, getting his reps back. But you may still see him here and there, I think.
That's one thing I wanted to talk about, Ryan. I was, we want to bring to you the latest news we can, everyone. But we've been looking up the Steelers injury report, and we're not having very much success.
Yeah.
We obviously know our punter, Johnson, is done for the season.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Let's talk about that play real quick, because I find it absolutely amazing that whoever was blocking him, I can't remember who they called the penalty on, but
Killebrew.
Yeah, Killebrew. So he's getting like just manhandled, right? He's getting thrown backwards. He's trying to block the guy. The guy runs in, injures our punter for the year, and somehow they called holding.
Again, this falls into that category.
How do you hold when you're getting like thrown on the ground?
Yeah. I like I said, Bryan, there's about a half dozen plays you could realistically say were kind of screwy in towards the Steelers, and that would be one of them. Again, if you watch the play closely, the guy his body was in motion. It wasn't like he was being thrown. You've seen his body in motion as Killebrew's trying to block him. Maybe that was the hold. I don't know, but you hit a punter that hard after the play. He's injured for the season. He's out.
Yeah. It was an unfortunate accident, and the referees couldn't have got it any more wrong.
Yeah.
And here's my situation, though. The punter then had to go in. Chris Boswell, our place kicker, who had made 5 field goals that game, went in under pressure on our own, let's say, 20-some yard line, and had to punt the ball out of our end in a 5-point game. And Ryan, I kept thinking to myself that this is where we lose the game. Chris Boswell is going to punt it. It's not going to be that great of a punt because he's a place kicker. They're going to return it 5, 10, 15 yards. They're going to be in our end of and then they're going to go down and score, and we're going to lose this game 17-15. And that's really what I thought. But out of nowhere, Chris Boswell booms this line drive, and Scotty Miller, play of the game, because if they give up a bad punt there or a bad return there, I think we lose the game. Scotty Miller, play of the game. I know TJ Watt had a great game. I know Fields had a great game. I know Boswell had a great game. But Scotty Miller, that one particular play, goes down, stops any return, forces them on their side of the field to start.
I loved it. I mean, Scotty Miller, he's back. He is a Super Bowl champion. People, don't realize this. But you know what, Bryan? I agree. I think that the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Chris Boswell played out of his mind. Being able to nail that punt the way that he did, this is what you have to do. These are the kind of things you have to do when you don't have Patrick Mahomes under center. These are the things you have to do when you don't have Josh Allen or any of these other top caliber receivers. You have to play tough on all three facets of the game. That special teams, they really came out and picked up after Johnston went down. I thought the defense, again, they held Kirk Cousins in that offense, to 10 points. So, again,
zero in the second half. That was huge.
And, Brian, it was 54 yards total in the second half. So, those two have to continue, and they have to continue to do what they do while the offense tries to get to where they need to be. And, again, watch the game a couple of times. Take out the heart attack and the sweating and all this. It wasn't the worst game in the world for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It wasn't what you want. But, again, you could see a little bit of progression.
A win is a win is a win.
Is a win. And I know that somebody called... I made one comment about if I was a gambling man, and we did get a caller in the meantime. Brian, the anonymous gambler is on the line.
Go ahead, anonymous gambler.
I heard you talking about putting money on the Denver game, and I was interested. I just got to say, 1-0 top of the division. Who do you think is the worst team in this division?
The Browns. They have a terrible quarterback. I think the other three teams have at least a solid quarterback.
Deshaun Watson. The old Deshaun Watson died on that massage table 5 years ago, huh?
Boy, and he keeps getting worse. I love it. It's amazing to see what's going on over there.
Maybe it's like this. Maybe when Tiger Woods stopped sleeping around, he stunk at golf. Now that Deshaun Watson isn't getting the massages, maybe he stinks at football.
And it's true. Tyreek Hill had a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Yeah.
Almost 2,000 yards last year. The math works out for me.
The former quarterback Phillip Rivers, he's still having kids, I think, and the guy had an amazing career. Didn't get that ring, but he was certainly a great quarterback.
Everybody sets their own records, right?
Did I hear you say that there's another Cordell playing wide receiver / running back / quarterback? Maybe he could punt too.
Maybe.
Cordell Stewart did.
Cordell Stewart was the special teams player of the week down in Baltimore whenever he was with them. He had like a punt, a field goal made, and he threw a pass for first down on fourth as the punter or place kicker for them.
Another question I wanted to ask. I looked at their schedule, and again, it's very easy the first 4, 5, 6 games. It is dreadful once you get past October, and then once you get to Christmas with that Christmas game. I don't know what the NFL scheduling was thinking with, I guess they have both games at home at least compared to the Chiefs, but that is going to be a tough slate the last literal 8-9 games of the season, and they're all division opponents.
Yeah, Anonymous. That's why I say you have to stack your wins early. I wouldn't count on trying to win 4 games at the end of the year on the stretch to try to get into the playoffs. You got to take them when you could get them right now. As you stated, I think the first 4 games are certainly very winnable. I think Dallas might be maybe the toughest game of the rest of the games of the first half. So we have to get the ones when we can get them. We can't make a dumb 4th and 1 call, lose the game, and say, well, you know what? There's a lot of football left. The fact of the matter is, yes, week 1, but you know what? That win goes a long way because this week the Ravens, they lost to the Chiefs. Again, we'll play that team down the road. They already lost to them. That goes to our advantage. And so on down the line, and with Cleveland and Dallas and so on. So the fact that we got out, we won a game that we should won early. If we continue to do that, that's the best formula for this system. I think we have to win these games early.
I actually believe that the Steelers need to start out 6-2 if they want to get into the playoffs. If they are not 6-2 at those first 8 games, I think it's going to be a rough second half of the season. What do you say there, Anonymous?
I agree. When you look now, the game in Denver, is that home or away?
Away.
We're away at Denver.
Okay, you got to watch that Denver air down there. Maybe they should just stick the field and have them just run around for 4 quarters again. Never throw the ball.
Yeah, you know what?
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't know. Like you look at the schedule. I just don't want to get, doctors call it false hope, that we're going to go and win the division or something. It could happen. It could very well happen, considering how the other 3 teams played last week. Baltimore doesn't get credit for how terrible Lamar Jackson was.
The one thing. The one thing about the Steeler teams, guys, they play well within the division. 2 years ago, we weren't that good of a football team. We just slid by. We finished with a 9-8 record, but I believe we were 5-1 in the division. Even last year, we weren't that fantastic in the division. We weren't that great, but we still finished with a 3-3. We generally do well in the division, and I think if this Steeler team gets its confidence and its wheels under them, maybe this second half of the season might not be as brutal, but it certainly has potential to be brutal.
One more point, and then I'll let you guys go. I'm worried about some of their defensive superstars, Cam Hayward, even TJ Watt, a little bit older, a little bit, more wear and tear on them. I worry come the end of the season with tougher opponents, they could go like 0-6 or 1-5 or something in the last 6 games, and it could be the opposite of like it was last year.
Right, a couple major injuries.
Yeah, but be excited now, right?
Right, absolutely. But before you go, Anonymous Gambler, I do have a real quick question. Did you happen to catch the debate last night by any chance? I don't know if you're into politics or not.
Not an Anonymous Gambler. You don't watch that.
That wasn't a debate. That was not a debate. Just so you know, there was a line on Kamala using the term border czar. It was minus 380. 3.8 to 1. And it hit. Hey, it hit. I thought that was easy money. I know that was not a debate. That was just a dissertation between 3 women on ABC, Kamala Harris, and I can't remember the other 2 women moderators.
David Muir was one of them. I don't know the other lady. But here's the real quick thing. Last night, and I was keeping tally real quick, and maybe I don't know, you could talk to your friends tomorrow night or whenever you're just out and about talking random things. The Trump and Harris were fact-checked 9 times throughout the debate. 9 times Trump was fact-checked, 0 times Harris was fact-checked. Just a little statistic for you there.
I like that. And that surprised anyone? That's like when, wow, the New York Giants had to throw the ball 387 times. Why? What could have been the cause? Because they stink. Hey, have a good day, guys.
All right, take care, Anonymous.
Thanks, Anonymous. Yeah, speaking, because I know we are coming up on our break, I just want to say, did you happen to catch, speaking of the New York Giants, Daniel Jones? This number is crazy, guys. Daniel Jones, of course, the big money quarterback up in the Giants.
How did you give him money? I told everybody he stunk when he got drafted.
I know. Well, this guy, Mike, I'm sorry, Bryan.
Uh-oh.
I know.
There it goes. There's the first slip.
I get spanked after the show. But listen.
By Derpy.
No, but this guy, Daniel Jones, guys, he gets the big contract. And what's the as of right now, between the contract and right now, he literally has more touchdowns to the other team than he does his own. He has 3 pick sixes and 2 offensive touchdowns for the Giants since he signed his big contract. What a disaster. I with this guy, I don't know why you would have given him this kind of money. Why you want him to be the long term? He had 1 good season, shown nothing after that. So,
well, speaking of whys, on the other side of the break, we're going to get into a bunch of whys about a particular team. So don't go anywhere. You guys have been listening to WBVB 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
There's a reason why the words True Value are in the name. True Value in any purchase or store visit has a lot more to do with your overall satisfaction and experience than just price alone. That's exactly what you'll find at the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save. Expert advice combined with great selection and favorable pricing. It's the perfect time to get your fall project started today by heading to the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save.
At Geneva College, your academic experience will prepare you with exceptional expertise in your chosen field. But what you'll learn is so much more than just that. Integrating faith and learning, you'll grow to see God's purpose and calling in your life's work. You'll be challenged to imagine how the world around you could be different and what your part might be in making that difference. You were made to live courageously. Visit geneva.edu today.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Bryan is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearm store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. If everybody could do me a favor, I just posted a video, my first video on my YouTube channel.
Yes.
If everybody can go check that out, it is tough to remember what the name of my channel is. It's called One Man's Opinion on Sports. Okay, when you go to YouTube, though, you're going to see a bunch of Beaver County Radio pictures of me doing my talk show, which we're doing right now. However, above that or somewhere in between, there's going to be a picture of LeBron James holding out his arms, crying like the big baby that he is, and it says One Man's Opinion on there. If you can click on that, there's a little 3.5-minute video I put out today. I'm just starting out the channel. We're going to have a lot to come. I know Wednesday morning, I'm going to have another video on Moneyball, analytics, sabermetrics, talking about how that's affected sports over the past 20 years. Next Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a video on TJ Watt and his pass rushing. Also, Sunday morning at 11 a.m., you can catch Ryan and myself on my live stream. It's going to be the Steelers pregame show. So we're going to be talking Steelers for 1 hour. You're going to get all the details about what Denver has to offer, the latest injury reports, and whatever's going to go on between the trenches. So make sure you check that out. Go to One Man's Opinion on Sports. Like I said, there's a picture of LeBron James with his arms extended out. It says One Man's Opinion on Sports. Click on that and then subscribe, and you can go from there. I would appreciate it all. I posted a video today. It's my first video. It's got a bunch of likes already, so if we could just go from there, that'd be great.
Bryan, it looked really good. I was anticipating this. Go check his video out. It's good stuff. I think you're going to enjoy it. And we also did run a pilot of Bryan's Sunday morning show this past weekend. It went really great. So, check him out both on Sunday morning and Wednesday mornings, as well as Wednesday afternoons. Yeah,
eventually my YouTube channel will be a collective of the Beaver County Radio show that we have here weekly from 4 to 6 every Wednesday. It would also be my Wednesday morning, Sunday morning post on random sports topics, as well as all during the football season. There will be a 1 hour show for the pregame at 11 a.m. every Sunday. So check that out. I do want to jump into some other sports here real quick while we have some time, Ryan.
Yeah.
Who comes to town this Saturday?
Oh, I just threw up in my mouth. If you're watching the show, you can see right on the camera there he is. There's Bryan, the host, wearing his West Virginia Dad shirt, which I totally respect because it's the West Virginia Dad. You're not just a West Virginia fan. I respect that. But yes, the Mountaineers are coming to town for a huge game this week, Bryan.
Yeah, I was listening to the Mark Bolger interview, and he is a Pittsburgh native. I think he grew up. I think he went to Catholic. What's the Catholic school downtown?
Central Catholic?
Central Catholic. He went to Central Catholic, went on to West Virginia. I believe in 3 games versus Pitt, he threw for 14 touchdowns. He, in 1998, threw 6 touchdowns. He said he could have thrown 10, but they pulled him from the game because they were just crushing Pitt down at Three River Stadium. If you remember Three River Stadium down in 1998. But Mark Bolger was basically saying that anybody from West Virginia cannot stand Pitt fans because the Pitt fans look down on them as if they're hicks.
Well, that's because we don't smell like they do, and we tend to walk the other direction.
See, there he goes. So WVU comes in 1-1 versus the 2-0 Pitt Panthers.
Yes.
And last year, WVU beat them at home. This is, I believe, the last backyard brawl for the next 3 to 4 years. I believe in 2028 it resumes again, which is so stupid. It should happen every year, and it actually should be the last game of the year.
It really should. It kind of falls in that category as of why Penn State isn't in the mix with Pitt every other year, every couple years, whatever. For me, but this is almost just as big. The backyard brawl is huge, and it has huge implications on the season, Brian, because if Pitt wins this game, they will be sitting at 3-0 with Youngstown State following that, and that could be a possible 4-0 start before you're heading into your conference play. Come on, that's a third of the way through the season, and you have nothing but wins. I think the toughest game down their schedule is Clemson, and you've seen what they've done so far. They're not that great. Maybe, just maybe, this Pitt team with the new offensive coordinator and some new players can do something.
Well, I was watching the Pitt game Saturday, and it was so bad, Ryan. The Pitt Panthers were playing so awful. I had to turn it off, and I turned the Pirates on.
I saw that. I saw that you had posted that.
It turns out the Pirates were playing even worse than the Pitt Panthers, so I had to turn it back to the Pitt Panthers. And what do you know? They came back from a huge deficit. Now, what about this young quarterback?
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
Eli Holstein, now, in the first 2 games of the season, Brian, he is 50 of 75, 636 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Real quick, everyone, Ryan is not reading that. He just has that on the top of his head.
And I'm not done. Also, they are 2-0, and the total points scored by Pitt in those 2 games were 83 points. Granted, yes, the first game was against Kent State, but the second game was a Cincinnati game where you're down 20-some points in the third quarter. You managed to come back and win that game. You got to like some things about this Pitt team. Again, Brian, Eli Holstein, our running back, Reed, he's the first Pitt player to reach 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving in one game. Also, between him and Ben Sauls, he also got a player of the week in the ACC as well. I like this core group of guys, and I do think that maybe they could make some things happen this year.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to watching that game. Maybe a little bit of banter. Hopefully it goes down to the end and it's a good game, one way or the other. I mean, you always like a good game when it's a backyard brawl.
I hope it's a terrible game. I hope we win by 30.
He says we. I don't. Who are you talking about? West Virginia or Pitt?
Oh, come on, man. But you know what? Penn State being in the mix. See, this is where I think it would be really cool if Penn State was involved. Again, you're scheduling all these cupcake games for the first few games. You're playing Bowling Green. You're playing Dayton. You're playing Kent. Maybe get Penn State, West Virginia, and Pitt in this weird kind of maybe threesome thing going on in the first part of the season, because I think that that would mean a lot to the fans, and I think that brings more attention to the rivalries such as Penn State and Pitt, West Virginia, so on.
The problem is they make these schedules 7-8 years out.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing 7 days out.
Right. I don't know what I'm doing 7 minutes from now.
Right, exactly. So what? They're ruining everything. It's all about the money. I totally get it. They don't care about Pitt. They don't care about West Virginia. They probably don't even care about Penn State. Yeah. They just want their money and their money and their money and money. Which is a great segment. Before we went to break, I told you we were going to be talking about a disappointment. The Pittsburgh Pirates, ladies and gentlemen, won this afternoon. Bailey Falter pitches 7 1/3 innings. Gave up 2 hits, walked 3, 5 Ks. They bring in Holderman. Next thing you know, bases are loaded. He gets them out of there. They're up 3-0. Pirates go in, down scoring. Top of the 9th. Who do you think they bring in, Ryan? Who do you think they bring in?
I missed the game, but just by the tone of your voice, I'm going to say David Bednar.
They brought in David Bednar. Do you think he got out of the inning without getting pulled from the game, or do you think he just went out 1, 2, 3?
What was the final score?
I don't want to tell you until you answer the question.
I'm going to say he got yanked.
He did.
Wow.
He gave up 2 runs, left the game with 2 outs, bases loaded. Beeks came in, the lefty, and ended up after like 3 or 4 pitches, there was a fly out to right field, so they were able to sneak away with a 3-2 wins. Why is Bednar? Bednar should only be pitching those games where we're losing so bad that you just want him to fill in an inning.
This is why,
until he can show you that he can get 3 outs.
This is why a lot of times in the headlines of the Pittsburgh Pirates, you're seeing the word change. I think change is coming. It's going to certainly, we have 18 games left in this season, give or take.
Didn't Obama say that in 2008? Hope and change, everyone. Hope and change.
He did, and
he changed stuff. Let me tell you.
But that's what's going to happen this offseason. I don't think there's a chance that Derek Shelton's around next year. I think that even Ben Sherrington's.
You think that they're going to pay Derek Shelton next year and not have him manage?
They're going to pay him, not have him. What?
He's under contract, is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
You think that they're going to fire him and pay him?
Well, he can't be making much. The Pirates manager, what's he making? $3-4 $6 an hour. I don't know.
Do you know how much money that is to Nutting? He can totally have that $3-4 an hour in his own pocket.
He's literally twitching right now.
I guarantee they bring him back and they fire him and they just hire somebody from within so that they don't have to really pay any more.
Yeah.
And, they might bump up the guy they promote a little bit, but I think it's all about the money. I think you get what you get. Derek Shelton, where did he come from, Ryan? What other team did he manage in the majors?
I'm not real familiar.
Do you know
with
what team
Shelton.
he managed in the minors?
No.
Yeah, because he didn't. They got this guy. He was like a batting coach. Like, he's cheap.
Right.
Whatever. He'll be fine. It's been 4 seasons. He stinks. They stink. The ownership stinks. We've gone over this. There is one bright star. I mean, there's a few good guys on the team. I would say half the team's a major league team. Half is probably not. Paul Skeens. What did he pitch? 6 innings the other day, scoreless. His ERA is down to 2.13, 10-2 on a crap team. Didn't pitch the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season because they had to have him pitch 3 innings in the minors for whatever reason. Because I don't know, I guess he wasn't ready. How does this guy not win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, and he's only been, as you mentioned, he pitched, started 20 games. He didn't pitch that first month of the season. He's sitting at 10-2 with the amazing ERA, as Bryan mentioned. He broke the record for strikeouts by a Pirates rookie out of all time. He broke many records. I mean, you can really go on and on. Paul Skeens, I think when it's said and done, you are getting the gentleman out in San Diego's name thrown in there a lot, which deservingly so. He's good. That's why. But at the end of the day, I don't think that the league, I think that the league giving him the Rookie of the Year benefits the league greatly. People were tuning in to watch Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, as a rookie only playing less than 2 months, started in the All-Star game. I just think that he is, like using Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, it would be beneficial to award him. Deservingly so, not because he, just you're giving it to him. I think if it comes down to those two gentlemen at the end of the year, Paul Skeens gets that award. All
right, well, we do have to go to break. On the other side of the break, we are going to be talking about another Rookie of the Year, so don't go anywhere. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
There's a reason why the words True Value are in the name. True Value in any purchase or store visit has a lot more to do with your overall satisfaction and experience than just price alone. That's exactly what you'll find at the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save. Expert advice combined with great selection and favorable pricing. It's the perfect time to get your fall project started today by heading to the Rochester True Value Hardware Store inside the East Rochester Shop and Save.
Football season is here, and East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Save is your tailgate headquarters. With all the food and beverages you need to make your tailgates and game day parties the best in town. Fire up the grill with their top quality meats, delicious burgers, hot dogs, and chicken wings. Get your cheese and meat platters, dips, and all your game day snacks. Check out their wide variety of wines and the beer cave. Don't miss out on amazing weekly specials and save money at the pump with every dollar you spend. Stop by your Shop and Save at the Tuska Plaza or East Rochester today for everything you need this football season.
For generations, Beaver Falls has had tremendous pride in their teams. After all, the saying, "Once a Tiger, always a Tiger," was based on a deep conviction and commitment toward excellence in the classroom and on the field. The Beaver Falls Athletic Department invites you to attend their events throughout the year and be a part of the Tiger tradition. For more details, visit the Beaver Falls Athletic Department online or call 724-843-7470. Thanks for your support from the Beaver Falls Athletic Department. Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Bryan is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearm store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. You can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers. That's D-U-M. Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Mostly it's going to be about the Steelers now that we are into football season. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. We were talking about Paul Skeens and Rookie of the Year. However, there's a little lady in the WNBA, Ryan, that is making her case for Rookie of the Year. She's setting all kinds of records. Some of them I think are negative.
You're starting to like her.
Here's the situation. Oh, first off, Caitlin Clark should have been on the Olympic team.
Absolutely.
She should have been the captain, and she should have started. There's no doubt about that. Caitlin Clark always, there's not even a chance. She's Rookie of the Year. There's not even a close second. They had that, what's her name? Bayou Barbie. Yeah, she really, Angel Reese was a fraud. They had to have, some sort of debate going on. They kept saying, oh, she has all these rebounds. She averages 13 points and 13 rebounds. Meanwhile, 9 or 10 of her rebounds were off her own misses. She shot 39% from the floor, and she shot layups all day. It was pathetic. She ends up getting a wrist injury, which I believe she faked. And now Caitlin Clark is in line to be the Rookie of the Year. However, the Indiana Fever will be in the WNBA playoffs for the first time in many, many years. They started out the season 1-8. They have gone 18-11 since and are now 19-17. They face the Aces tonight. I guess the Las Vegas Aces. Are they back-to-back champions? I believe the Aces are. And they are 22-13. They come into the Fever, which will be a sellout, I'm sure. So, Caitlin Clark, I did a little math, Ryan. And we talk about all the assists that she's having, how she's shooting, and, how she's getting everybody involved. And I looked up Caitlin Clark. Now, the old record in the WNBA for turnovers was 137 in 40 games. That was the record, 137. Ryan, do you know how many turnovers Caitlin Clark has this year alone?
I do not.
With 6 games to go, she's at 204. 204. If I were to ask you, now here's the other 4 starters on the WNBA Indiana Fever: Kelsey Mitchell, Sexy Lexi Hall, my favorite, Aaliyah Boston, and Elisa Smith. Combined, how many turnovers do you think the other 4 starters have if Caitlin Clark has 204?
I would guess not as many as Caitlin Clark.
They actually have more. They have 205.
Really?
Yes. So the other 4 girls have 1 more turnover than Caitlin Clark.
Well, she is the main facilitator. And the thing about this also is, Brian, she does lead the team in minutes. If you look at her box score every day, of course, her points, her assists and rebounds are always fantastic. But she does have the most minutes, which she's out there the most, which she's got the ball the most. She brings the ball down the floor. She facilitates.
If we add up the other 4 girls' minutes, isn't that way more? Even if they're not playing the full game.
You know what? I think that this is a flaw. She is not perfect. She's came out. She's proved that she's a baller in this league. As you said, she's breaking records. She's leading as many statistics. She's leading this team to the playoffs. There's no two ways about it. This woman's a baller. We've said it. We've seen what she did in Iowa. We've seen what she did in the final. In the tournaments in college. But yeah, she does have a bit of a turnover issue, but I think that's going to fix itself over time as she just becomes more mature and plays in the WNBA. It's a ridiculously high number, but look at all of her numbers, Brian. They're all ridiculously high. That's the only negative one.
All right, here's not what ridiculously high. Her shooting percentage, that's ridiculously low.
Is it really?
She's terrible from 3. She's shooting like 33% from 3. That means she's making 1 out of 3. When she pulls up from the logo and shoots, I'm thinking like, if you were shooting 50%, oh yeah, Lexi Hall's shooting 50% from 3 on her team.
I mean,
Caitlin Clark's like around 33 and change. Okay, and that's gone up a little bit because she started off the season. But she pulls up from 30-some feet, and if I'm down there on offense and my teammate pulls up from 30-some feet, I don't care if you make it or not. I'm telling the coach to get you off the court. I don't understand how she could turn the ball over 9 times last game, 7 times the game before, 7 times the game before, 7 times the game before, and the coach doesn't pull her and say, what are you doing? Some of these are behind the back stupid passes, Ryan. It's not like, it just, there was a miscommunication or whatever. It's bad passes. One of them, and I text you during the game, They were down 1. They'd been down like 15. They came all the way back. Caitlin Clark actually makes a block. She's going down. She has Aaliyah Boston, but Boston's covered. And she throws this stupid pass for turnover. They were down 1, and they end up losing them by 6 because if she just backs it down, runs the offense, gets the bucket, they probably go on to win that game. But no, whatever happens is she turns it over. The other team comes down, hits a 3. They're up 4.
I think what you're going to see, Brian, I honestly, and this is just from the bottom of my heart as just a sports fan, you're going to see that number come down as the years go on. Again, she's a rookie. She's a kid. I mean, she's barely out of college, and she's doing the amazing things that she is doing. I do expect that her numbers are going to come down turnover-wise. She's out there. She's making things happen on a team that, you know what, before this, as you said, they only had how many wins last season? So she was able to come in and do the things that she does and make an improvement on the Indiana Fever. I say go for it. She's given everything she has. If that means having turnovers at the end of the day, she's still scoring a lot of points. She's getting a lot of assists and a lot of rebounds. Brian, I expect that number to come down as the years go on.
Well, we'll see here. Okay, and I want to talk about something here real quick because everybody's giving Caitlin Clark the Indiana Fever success. Do you know that Kelsey Mitchell was a number 2 overall pick in the draft? Lexi Hall was a number 6 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Boston was a number 1 overall pick in the draft. So they have a 1, a 2, and a 6.
Yeah.
They're young. They're exciting. I get it. They make mistakes, and that's to be had with young teams. Here's what I want to talk about. And we're going to get into the Steelers all next hour. We have Scap Attack, the famous YouTuber, coming on next hour at 5:15. But we're going to talk all Steelers, all Denver, all football, all next hour. But we do have about 4 more minutes here. The NIL money, kids 18, 19 years old are coming in and getting $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $4 million to play in college. Clark obviously got endorsements. Why or what would their drive be to succeed? Listen to a coach. They're spoiled is what I'm saying. It wasn't like, in the offseason, I got to work another job to make ends meet, and I've got to work hard to be the top of my sport. But these college kids, is all this money and all this fame and all this publicity, is it kind of spoiling them to not work hard to do the fundamental things? Michael Jordan, and I'll let you talk here because I know I've been rambling.
No, you're fine.
Michael Jordan was the best of the best. He didn't make like $30 million until, I want to say, the 96, 97 season when he came back. He didn't make a ton of money when he was in the 80s and the early 90s. Now all these NBA guys are getting $30, $40, $50 million a year, and they're no Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was not only the best athlete, he had the hardest work ethic, and he would have his hand in the passing zone the correct way. He had all the fundamentals. And I think a lot of this spoiling and pampering of the young kids today is, you're getting the reward without doing the work to get there. And I'm not saying and I'm not trying to bash anybody here, but it's not like it used to be.
You answered your own question. You're giving the reward before you make them go out and perform. And I think that's a dangerous combination. This is a new era. This wasn't always the way that it's been. You had to go out and prove yourself and perform, and you get paid accordingly. But now you just get money thrown at you. I'm still trying to get used to this as well. The whole NIL era. I can't say that I understand it entirely. I'm not fully for it, but again, maybe there's still some getting used to for me personally. But I think you're 100% right, Brian, and your statement itself was the answer to the question.
Well, now, do we see rivalries? Let's say in football, we were talking about West Virginia, Pitt. There's the Ohio State, Michigan, and there's the big rivalries throughout football. Are all those gone because of all this? I want to say FSU, what are they in the Big Ten?
Florida State?
Yeah.
ACC.
Still?
Yes.
Who's in Florida that's in the Big Ten? Is it Florida?
No, they're SEC.
In the SEC. Well, I forget who I was talking about then. But there's like teams in Florida, there's teams in Texas. They're playing not regional games, and there's all this travel. The Big Ten, the ACC, they're getting teams from the West Coast.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And it's just like there's all this travel, and there's no players also aren't staying an entire 3-4 years at the same school. After
Right.
2 years, they're transferring everywhere. I like college football, but it's tough. It's tough.
It's a whole different beast. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a different game than the pros. They just implemented the 2-minute warning in college football after all these years.
It's called the 2-minute timeout.
The 2-minute timeout.
It's way different.
Yeah, of course. But I agree, Brian. I mean, that's what makes college football. They're constantly making changes. Of course, the past 10 years you added the playoffs. This coming season, I think we have more teams. So you're watching all these changes in college football, but it is its own beast. If you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, you're not.
Yeah, we have the 12-team playoff, right?
Yeah.
For the first time.
I love this.
It used to be there was a bunch of bowl games and you could go undefeated and play in a bowl game and not even play the other best undefeated in a different bowl game. And then they kind of had to guess who the best team was. And then they got it down to a 2-team playoff. Then it went to a 4. Now we're at a 12. So, the top 4 teams will get their bye, and then the other 8 will play those 4?
Yeah, that's the way that I understand it as well. But you know what? I mean, it kind of fits for what college football is, Brian. As you stated, guys just don't stay anymore. Things are constantly moving. There's always wheels in motion. Things are happening. Things are changing. But so, I mean, if you accept that and you take it for what it is, you can enjoy college football a lot. It's a lot of fun, but there's always seems to be something changing, and there's always seems to be something that keeps people unhappy as well. Oh, well, geez, it should have been this way, or it should be that way. The way that it used to be was better. College football, again, is its own entity, and like I said, if you like it, chances are you like it a lot.
All right. Well, the good news is we have another hour here. Everybody's getting off work here in about a minute or two, so we'll be back. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 and 1230 AM. We'll be back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Beaver County Radio and the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, along with AK Nahas, are teaming up to present Cruisin' on the Ridge. Saturday, September 21st will be the final car cruise of the year, so make plans to come out and send summer out with a bang. If you have collected all of the Dash Blacks, you will be entered into a special drawing to win a special prize. Cruisin' on the Ridge will be from 12 to 4 p.m. at Beaver County Radio Studios at 4301 Dutch Ridge Road in Brighton Township. Beaver County Radio's Solid Gold Saturday host J.D. Merkel will be spinning tunes in the parking lot. There will also be food trucks, prize giveaways, raffles, and a 50-50. Cruisin' on the Ridge is being brought to you in part by Patriot Home Care, Fry Transportation, J. Young Refuse, the William Murphy Funeral Home, the Beaver Valley Auto Mall, AK Nahas Furniture and Appliance, the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, and Beaver County Radio.
Tune in to Beaver County Radio 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Thinking Logically with Joe Corsai. It is an all-new show that takes a look at the conservative side of politics. Thinking Logically is also presented on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's Thinking Logically with Joe Corsai each and every Monday and Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Beaver County Radio.
Looking for a fall activity for your children? Pass and score your way into the Beaver County YMCA's Youth Soccer League. The league will teach the basic fundamentals of soccer. There will be one practice a week teaching drills and skills. This soccer league is for kids ages 5 through 12 and runs from September 10th to October 19th. Registration is already open. To register, go to beavercountyymca.org.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
What if I told you the Steelers are the clear favorite this weekend at Denver? What if I told you no matter who the Steelers quarterback, the Steelers have a huge advantage at the most important position? What if I told you the Steelers have a much better defense than the Broncos? What if I told you there's no way the Steelers can lose this game? What if I told you this type of game is the exact type of game that Mike Tomlin historically loses? Last Sunday afternoon, the Steelers went into Atlanta as a 3.5-point underdog. Russell Wilson was unavailable due to a calf injury. Insert Justin Fields? No problem. The refereeing was bad throughout the game. The Steelers had a couple in-game injuries, which we will get into here after this little monologue. The Steelers' offense had one trip to the red zone and turned it over on downs. As predicted by me, the Steelers didn't score over 20 points. However, the Steelers came away with yet another sloppy win and found themselves on top of the AFC North all alone. The Bengals only put up 10 and lost to the Patriots. They go on the road to Kansas City at 4:25 this Sunday. The Browns got shellacked by the Cowboys in front of their home crowd. Deshaun Watson embarrassed himself more than he did at the massage parlors. The Browns, like the Bengals, moved to 0-1 and faced the Jaguars on the road at 1 p.m. We all saw the ending of Thursday night's game where Lamar Jackson missed an open receiver on first down, then came back to miss a wide-open Flowers on second down. Then, with 5 seconds left, he ran around in the pocket until he found Likely in the back of the end zone for a TD. Harbaugh signaled for 2. But we know Likely didn't come down with the ball. His foot was out of bounds. The Ravens lost, and they host the Raiders this Sunday at 1. First place in the division, Ryan, all alone, on top of the AFC North. They are in control of their own destiny, and only after 1 week.
Yeah, I like all the matchups for the division this week, except for that Baltimore Ravens, Las Vegas Raiders game. I think that the Ravens will probably win that game pretty handedly. However, you know what, Brian, here we are again, coming back to the second hour of the show. We haven't scored a touchdown, but here we sit high above the division, and you have your division rivals, the hated Ravens and the Browns and the Bengals and all these teams. We are in first place. Them teams have no wins. You got to like it. I mean, come on. It could be a lot worse, right?
For no touchdowns, the refs against you, a couple plays went. I mean, how many turnovers did TJ Watt have that got taken away?
At least a couple.
Right. So that game, I honestly think we could have won by 4 or 5 touchdowns if the Pickens offensive pass interference wasn't called, if we got the first down on 4th, or if people blocked on 3rd, if TJ Watt got those turnovers and they didn't call Dante Jackson for I guess it was a face mask hold on that strip sack.
Ripping Najee Harris's helmet off. The list really goes on, Brian. Take those out, we probably should have won by a couple touchdowns.
Here's the thing. The refs all around the league, and I watched a lot of games, they were confused. It looked like a preseason game because the refs were just bad. It's just the communication and everything. I don't even think it's going to get better. It's been bad for years.
I agree, and as you say in your video, I think that it's not just the NFL. Officiating around the pro sports has been terrible. I think baseball was exceptionally bad this year. I'd never said that hockey had good officiating, and now this with the NFL. It makes you wonder, is it just getting worse over time, or is there something building here? I know that they want to add technology and AI into pro sports for officiating purposes. If that's the case, I mean, it is what it is, but they have been bad in every sport. And again, go watch Sunday's game. I've watched it 3 times on tape already, Brian. It gets worse every time I watch it as far as those calls. I don't know what the referees were looking at most of the time.
Here's my question. I was thinking about that. I was just watching a game yesterday, last night, Monday. I was watching the Monday Night Football game, and I'm thinking, is it because we can see everything? Maybe in the 80s, there was only, let's say, 10 cameras. Now there's 9 zillion. We could see every angle, high definition. There's no blur. Also, with baseball, we have the rectangle in the box, and we could see before the umpire even calls it if it's a ball or a strike. So whenever they call it wrong or incorrectly, we're already thinking, like, how did they miss that? Is that what's going on?
Absolutely.
Or is it a combination of maybe both?
It's a combination of both, because we have seriously good technology, and again, these are people that are just calling it the way they see it in real time. So I mean, you could understand the difference in that, and we do. We have angles and views and cameras and lines on the TV and boxes and everything else. So when we sit there and say, "Oh, these guys don't know what they're doing," they're human. They're out there. They're watching it real time, and I could assume that would be a very difficult thing to do.
All right. If you guys would like to chime in, give us a call here at Beaver County Radio at 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. So We have about 7 minutes before we go to break, so please give us a call. Let us know what you thought of the Steelers game and what do you think of the upcoming game. We are out and Denver. The terrible Denver Broncos. It was supposed to be Russell Wilson going to face his team from the past couple seasons. He is likely, I just pulled up the injury report. Russell Wilson is still questionable, but I think hasn't practiced yet, so I don't see him starting. Do you think Russell Wilson, if he doesn't play and he's out, do you think he'll dress up in full uniform and full pads again and act like he's could maybe go in and be the hero?
You know, the Russell is funny to watch on the sideline, I got to tell you.
Why was he dressed?
I don't know. And he's
put on a hoodie.
Right. No, but I'm concerned for Russell Wilson because if Justin Fields comes out this week and plays a good game, which, you know what, I think that he just might. Again, he has a week under his belt, and he's going up against a totally beatable Denver team. Guys, if you've seen this team play, if you just go back if you haven't and read their stat lines, Bo Nix led the team. This rookie quarterback led the team in rushing. Didn't do well, behind center. This is a totally winnable game, Brian. And I think that if Justin Wilson comes out and has a pretty good game, Justin Fields, I'm sorry, then Russell Wilson's job might just be in jeopardy for playing quarterback on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, the good news on the injury report is I don't see anybody on the injury report that wasn't on last week other than our punter, Cameron Johnson, who obviously is out for the season. We got who? Who did we get?
We got Waitman. The guy's name is Waitman. He has been on our...
Yeah, he's punted for us before when Harvin had some injuries, correct?
Corliss Waitman has been on our team 2 other times, last time being 2021. He is back. He's a southpaw kicker, so that is...
watch out for those southpaws.
That's the guy that's going to be back there, so we got to root for him and hope that he does well.
Does he eat left-handed too, or just kicks?
I don't know.
These are things we need to know, Ryan.
Yeah.
Is there any way,
How's
Ryan,
this show going to thrive if we don't know this?
How do the Pittsburgh Steelers go into Denver and lose? Because I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. Unless, as you say, it turns into one of these trap games. But I'm going to be honest with you. As I said in the first half of the show, if I was a gambling man, the Steelers would be my pick this week.
All right. Does Justin Fields turn the ball over in Denver? Does he fumble?
I think that, listen, he didn't turn the ball over last week.
I know.
He did put the ball on the ground.
There's some crazy snaps there in the first quarter, though.
The first drive, it was the 3rd snap of the game. The 5th snap of the game was a timeout, unnecessary timeout called by Fields. And then also the 7th snap of the game ended up being a bad snap as well.
Who's the center for the Steelers?
Rookie, Zach Frazier.
I can't remember. Where did he go to college?
I can't remember where he came from.
Oh, yeah, the guy from West Virginia.
We don't mention
That's
that team this week. But listen to this. I think he may have listen, I think it's going to equal out, though. He may have a couple mistakes this week that he didn't have last week, but I think it's going to be because they let him be a little bit more aggressive now. He has, again, that week under his belt. He's playing a pretty poor Denver team. They're going to let this guy throw the ball around, and you know what? It's going to yield better results, but again, it also gives him an opportunity to make more mistakes. I don't think it makes the difference in the game, but he does play better this week, I think.
Now, that young offensive line, also we have the injuries. The Dan Moore Jr. is not listed on this injury report here, even though he didn't practice today. Yeah. It could just be a veteran day rest because he's a little banged up and it's early in the season. But they weren't terrible, right?
No, they
had their moments where they stunk, but
I think
for as young as they are.
Listen, Brian, did you see Najee Harris getting stuck in the backfield all day? You didn't see this. Najee Harris was making his way through holes and getting nice gains. Albeit he only had 70 yards. You know what? Come on. Behind a bunch of rookies and guys covering for injured guys, not bad at all. Other things, did Fields get a little pressure on him? Sure he did, but luckily he's mobile enough for these to not turn into disasters. I didn't hate the way that the offensive line played.
Is Justin Fields the best athlete on the field?
Possibly.
I think he is.
Yeah.
When he runs, I just go, my goodness, if you could just throw the ball,
is it a thing of beauty? When he needs 7 yards and he just takes off, he is a thing of beauty.
We've been lacking it. I remember when Ben could scramble, buy time. He usually didn't run for the first times, but he was capable when he was younger. But he would buy the time, and then he would hit somebody wide open because, the defensive backs can only cover for so long until somebody, makes a cut and they get open. But it was so nice when there was nothing there, and we had a quarterback that could run and get the first down. That was just delightful to watch.
It's the new era. I mean, obviously it's been going around. Going on for some time. But we did have the luxury of having a Ben Roethlisberger who was, great at what he does. But now that we're past Ben, let's take a look at these athletic guys. I know a lot of people have been saying that for some years now. I like it. Like I said, I like the fact that we could have a 3rd and 7 where it becomes, okay, what do? We got to try to find a guy open. We're going to try to find matchups. You know what? Roll out and get your 7 yards with Justin Fields' legs. How can you not like this?
Well, the one thing my buddy Dan was warning me about with Russell Wilson is the fact that he is a midget and cannot see over the offensive line.
Yeah.
Okay. And, he's above average in height.
Right.
But in the NFL, I mean, 5'9", 5'10", whatever he is. I know he claims he's like 5'11", but we know he's like 5'9.5".
Right.
When the offensive and defensive linemen are 6'6", 6'8".
I thought it was Gary Coleman back here, so don't go by me.
I would look tiny behind it, right? So what I'm saying is he can't throw the ball over the middle of the field because he can't see. We both saw Justin Fields' passing chart.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to say he didn't throw in between the hashes, I mean another 10 yards on either side of the hashes he didn't throw from the hashes and an additional 20 yards, 10 on each side. He never threw the ball once in the middle of the field. How freaking easy is that to defend if you're the defense coordinator?
You're right. That's an adjustment they need to make. And I got to say, too, also, I'm kind of disappointed in Fields in a sense that, he is young, but he is far enough into his career that some of these issues that he's having playing the quarterback position itself, they should have gotten a little better over time. The excuse always was, well, he plays for the Bears, these guys stinks, he has no weapons. I want to start seeing some of the more basic things that are done by quarterbacks be performed a little bit better by Fields, as we go along.
All right. Well, we do have to go to break. On the other side, we do have Scab Attack from YouTube. We'll be talking about Steelers and NFL when we come back. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
Can you afford to put off repairs or replacement of your roof? This is Diane Ireland of Ireland Contracting. With interest rates going up, take advantage of our 12-month same as cash or financing up to 10 years. Add that skylight, change the siding, or update the windows. My husband Gary and I are so confident of our expert craftsmanship that we put the family name on our business. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF or visit IrelandContracting.com. Ireland Contracting. We got you covered.
What's up, folks? This is Maurice Trent, and I'm a Blackhawk Cougar. Well, it's true that when it's game time, we might be on different sides. It's the other team that we were all a part of that will make it real difference once the season's over.
If you're an employer, what do you look for in a prospective new hire? A proven track record is usually the #1 trait. For 46 years now, the Beaver County Career and Technology Center has been creating the workforce that has shaped Western Pennsylvania industry and service sector enterprises. It's the program with proven experience that employers know they can count on when they need to fill their workforce. Enroll your child or grandchild at the known quantity among educators and business leaders alike for 4 decades. The Beaver County Career and Technology Center. Signing up through your local public school is easy and can give your student the ability, in many cases, to make more money in certain fields than college graduates. Free career training at Beaver County Career and Technology Center is the perfect choice. Visit bcctc.org.
This is Mitch Carver from Carver Construction. Playing a great football game takes teamwork, great leaders, and great individuals. As a former high school football coach myself, I know what it takes to win. I apply these same qualities to Carver Construction in New Brighton. Satisfying customers isn't anything new at Carver. We've been doing it since 1982 for both residential and commercial renovations. I'm behind every job we do, so I can guarantee you that every time you deal with us, you win. Call us or visit us at our website at carverconstructionpa.com.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. You can check him out alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers. That's D-U-M. Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. It's my pleasure to welcome my favorite YouTuber. No one has better content, voice, and delivery. Let's welcome Scap Attack, Mr. Jay Scapanock. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Bryan, what's up, my friend? Pleasure to be on with you again. What's up?
Not much. It's good to have you on because the last couple times I've had you on, we've been talking about the NBA, but you're a huge NFL fan, correct?
That is correct. A lifelong fan. Probably, I would say the NFL and the NBA are 1 and 1A for me throughout my lifetime.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up, born and raised in Pittsburgh. My parents still live there, about 10 minutes outside of the city. So I'm in town still very frequently, probably every 2 months or so. I'm back in town. So spent a lot of time in the Steel City. Love the NFL, and yes, I still keep a pretty close, watchful eye on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, everybody, after this show here, click on YouTube, go to Scap Attack. He had a video about Lamar Jackson that is absolutely hilarious. You Steeler fans, you're going to love it. Let's talk about that first, Jay. What did you think about the Thursday night game, the Ravens versus the Chiefs?
Well, Bryan, it was more of the same for Lamar Jackson. He picked right up where he left off at the end of last season when he was getting humiliated at home as a favorite yet again in the AFC Championship game against who else? The Kansas City Chiefs, who Patrick Mahomes has owned Lamar Jackson. He's now 5-1 head-to-head in their career to this point. But how many more instances do we need to see of Lamar Jackson on the field failing in big moments with big opportunities to make big plays with his arm? The guy is an absolute and unmitigated fraud in terms of passing the football. How in the world this guy has 2 league MVPs, I'm still racking my brain over. Bryan, I go to bed every night and I wake up every morning with certain key questions that has just I've been grappling with. And one of those questions, is how in the hell does this guy have 2 league MVPs? Last year's league MVP flopped again miserably in that AFC title game, and he had a multitude of opportunities to get that monkey off the back in this opener on Thursday night. He did lead them down the field for the allegedly game-winning drive, but he blew a wide-open pass to Zay Flowers across the middle that could have at least tied the game, maybe won the game for his Ravens. And Baltimore, ho-hum, opens up 0-1 to start the year.
Yeah, I'm 47 years old, and on second down, I could have made that pass to Flowers in the middle of the end zone.
It was ridiculous. A mediocre, an average high school quarterback right now could have made that throw 10 times out of 10 to Zay Flowers. And, of course, everyone's going to look at the pass in the back of the end zone to Likely, which would have been a miracle, quite frankly. Sure, it was a good pass, but it was into a ton of congestion. It would have been a miraculous catch by Isaiah Likely had he made it. He could not get the foot down, and it shouldn't have come to that ultimately because Zay Flowers was wide open. It doesn't get easier than that pass play to Flowers. And, again, this is him being insulated throughout the course of that game by his defense, just as he was last year in the AFC Championship game. Baltimore is arguably the best defense in the NFL. Last year, that loss, the aforementioned loss I keep mentioning in the AFC title game, which was, again, at home in Baltimore to Kansas City, that high-powered Kansas City offense behind Patrick Mahomes, 17-10 final last season in the AFC Championship game. That's doing your job if you're Baltimore's defense and holding that Kansas City Chiefs offense to 17. Now, they did put up a couple more points in this opener on Thursday night, but Lamar fumbled in field goal range. They went for it on fourth down and missed it at midfield. Both of those led to field goals for the Chiefs. So that kind of elevated the Chiefs' final score. The defense, by and large, did a good job this year on a Kansas City offense that is expected to be much improved this season. These are games Lamar Jackson simply has to start finding a way to win, or else we cannot talk about him in the pantheon of elite quarterbacks at this moment, let alone all time, which is kind of hard to believe because he has those, again, 2 league MVPs.
Well, it did kind of remind me of the Super Bowl pass to Santonio Holmes that he caught in the back of the end zone. That was on second down, and I think everybody forgets that Holmes dropped one right in his chest on first down, and Ben was smart enough to go back to him, and he made the ridiculous catch. But the one thing I noticed was 2 years ago, Jay, I went to a Steelers game against the Ravens. I believe Jackson was out, but the Ravens went down, they scored, and they were down 1, and they went for 2. That's Harbaugh's thing. On the road, instead of going for the tie, I guess it's in some notebook somewhere, some Moneyball analytics to go for 2, and he was going to go for 2 for the win there.
Yeah, and you know what? You're right. Possibly it's just on the road, and he was, the Steelers situationally might not make as much sense to me because, quite frankly, even without Lamar Jackson, that's a game that Baltimore probably has to like their chances of maybe getting in overtime. In terms of Kansas City, this is a team that has plagued them, that has had their number, that they just simply cannot find a way to beat. And, I mean, frankly, I think Kansas City is a superior team to Baltimore, certainly this year, I think, with some of those offensive upgrades. So it kind of made sense since they were on the road against Kansas City, Super Bowl favorites, the better team. Just go ahead, take your chances on a 50-50 play from the 2-yard line and try to end it right then and there, especially a team, Baltimore, which operates pretty good in those short yard to-go opportunities with Lamar Jackson and now, of course, this year, King Henry in the backfield. So I definitely like the call by Harbaugh there to go for 2, if only likely could have gotten his toe down for Baltimore and for Lamar.
All right, you guys are listening to Jay from Scab Attack here on One Man's Opinion on Beaver County Radio. The next thing, I didn't watch it. I want to go real quick because I really want to get into some more here. The Friday night game, I did not watch. The Packers and Eagles in Brazil. What happened during that game, and what was the atmosphere like in Brazil?
Yeah, there's a lot of people criticizing the NFL for having that game with, I guess, some of the things going on in Brazil at this moment and just the global climate right now. But it was, I thought, a pretty good atmosphere in that stadium. And, it's actually not just in Brazil, but all around the world. The NFL seems to be traveling pretty well. They're trying to promote this global fandom. And, I think, kudos, one of the few good things that Roger Goodell is doing, kudos to him for trying to grow the sport. And the game, of course, pitted two, viable NFC contenders, I would say, two legitimate, Super Bowl contenders, maybe even, but certainly two of the upper echelon teams in the NFC. In the Eagles, who have been, flirting with the Super Bowl the last couple years, they played in and lost the Super Bowl, of course, to Kansas City 2 years ago. Had a bit of a down year last year, but they're expected to be on the rise again this season. And the Packers, who finished last season very strongly, winning a playoff game, basically coming out of nowhere. And this is supposed to be that big. I know Jordan Love is not technically a second-year NFL player because he sat for a couple years behind Rodgers, but this is just his sophomore season in terms of playing, and many anticipate him to take that next big step up. So it was a good back and forth between both teams. Unfortunately, you hate to see it. Jordan Love, who again everyone's talking about, this is his ascension year, maybe in MVP consideration. He got hurt at the very tail end of that football game. It's an MCL sprain. They've decided not to put him on the IR, the extended IR. So he's basically looking to hopefully be back within the next 4 games. But in the interim, it's going to be tough for Green Bay to stack some wins together. They've got a whole lot of nothing at quarterback now, and they, of course, dropped that game to the Eagles. So they start off 0-1. Now they're without Love for a couple weeks. It looks like they're going with Malik Willis, the failed prospect from the Titans. Also on that roster, some of your viewers, and you might recognize the name, Sean Clifford, the old Penn Stater, is on that roster as well. But he's going to back up Willis this week, and it's going to be a rocky start for Green Bay. Nice little W for Philadelphia.
All right. Outside of the Steelers and the opening game for them against the Falcons, what did you think about the opening weekend?
Yeah, omitting the Steelers, I think my big key takeaway here has got to be last year's Super Bowl matchup, which was Kansas City and San Francisco. Those two teams basically just made statements to me. Yes, Kansas City kind of escaped that Baltimore game with a win, but they were kind of playing with their food more so, in my estimation. They look to be much better than Baltimore. Their offense looks to be substantially improved this season. You got Rashee Rice making that second year kind of evolution. He really came on towards the end down the stretch last year. So it looks like, Patrick Mahomes has like a key wide receiver now with Rashee Rice. Then you get this year's rookie wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, in that game, who was unbelievable. He touches the ball 3 times, scores 2 touchdowns. He was the fastest player ever clocked at the combine in this most recent NFL draft combine. So just more weaponry for Patrick Mahomes. Their running back there, Pacheco, looks great. So this team, I mean, Mr. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, barely even broke a sweat in that game, and they still managed to beat the team last year, which was Baltimore with the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I really like the way Kansas City looks. And how damn impressive was San Francisco going against the Jets with no Christian McCaffrey, mind you, and they just gouged that Jets defense up and down the field all night long, running the ball. They had their, undrafted running back, the backup to Christian McCaffrey, ran for 147 yards and a touchdown. And they made it look easy against a Jets team, which is favored actually this year preseason to win that division, and I thought could be a viable contender in the AFC. San Francisco just made them look silly. And, don't quote me on this. Perhaps your viewers can fact check me, but it's been at least this century, I know, that a team that loses the Super Bowl does not make it back the following year. I think San Francisco could challenge that metric this season because they just look so much better, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years already, and I think they are by and far the best team. I think they were the best team last year. They should have won that Super Bowl last season, and if any team can kind of buck that trend of Super Bowl losers not getting back, it's them. I think Kansas City and San Francisco look, to me, heads and shoulders above everybody else right now.
All right, it's funny that you said fact check. We do have to go to break there, Jay. But fact checking on the debate last night, the ABC commentators fact checked Trump 9-0 versus Harris. 9 fact checks on Trump, 0 to Harris. All right, we're gonna have Jay from Scap Attack when we come back from break. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
One thing, Pirates baseball for a 76th season is on Beaver County Radio. Make sure you set your radio dial to WBVP and 99.3 FM. Pirate baseball is being presented locally by the St. Barnabas Health System, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Keystone Wellness Program, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Town Square Restaurant, and Beaver County Radio.
The 77th season of high school football coverage on Beaver County Radio has arrived. Our Friday Night Lights coverage with Robert Mangino and Mike Azadian is off and running with a huge Week 3 matchup from Pat Tarquinio Field in Beaver as the Bobcats will play host to the Hopewell Vikings. Tank Latham will have the eXp Realty sideline reports throughout the game. The audio and video coverage gets underway with a 6:30 p.m. pregame and kickoff set for just after 7. You can watch the game on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. You can listen to the games on WBVP 99.3 FM and BeaverCountyRadio.com. High school football coverage on Beaver County Radio is brought to you in part by Tri-County McDonald's, I'm loving it, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, the Community College of Beaver County, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Fisher's New Brighton Foodland, Al's Pizza in New Brighton, Tri-State Sporting Arms, Drug Free Aliquippa, and Beaver County Radio.
Oh my goodness, Amy, it's so good to see you.
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Is your mom doing any better?
Thank you for asking. I don't know if I can answer without being emotional. I'm sorry. I'm just tired and worried. I can't always be there for her, and it's so stressful.
I really understand. That's how I was with my dad. I'd recommend calling St. Barnabas. We did. We started with just having them come in for home care. He was so excited to see them show up. And when he needed more, we were able to move him in at Beaver Meadows, where he still has his own home-like space and excellent care.
Thanks for telling me that. I don't even know how to start, but I have to do something.
Oh, you can just give St. Barnabas a call. They have directors that can explain how it all works. Trust me, you'll feel so much better, and so will your mom.
I'm so glad I ran into you.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700 for care apart from the ordinary.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Make sure you can check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. On the line, we do have Jay, the famous Scap Attack on YouTube. Make sure you go on YouTube, look up Scap Attack, and check out all of his videos. He's got a really good one on Mike Tomlin, good one on Lamar Jackson, plenty on the NBA, and much, much more. Jay, I got a quick question for you because we got to get into the Steelers. Real quick, what did you think of their game this past week? And then we're going to get into what do you think for them this coming Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, I was honestly a little surprised. I think I did not anticipate them to win that game at Atlanta. So I can't, detract too much from their performance, Mike Tomlin's game plan this week, because they did get a win and I wasn't anticipating them to get it. I also wasn't anticipating Kirk Cousins to look like a pile of garbage all game long. He clearly isn't right yet. He's not healthy. He's not back from that. I believe he ruptured his Achilles last year. He's in his mid-30s now as well. So I think Atlanta might be matriculating their way towards a potential quarterback controversy here before probably the middle of the season. So, it was a good win to get it now because the second half of this schedule for the Steelers is absolutely brutal, to the tune of, just real quick, their last 4 games to end the year: Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. So that is a tough 4 games. And really after their bye week, around week 9, it gets pretty tough. So you really have to capitalize on the early part of this easy schedule and get those wins. So kudos for them getting the victory this past week. But please, let's not get too effusive with our praise here. Brian, real quick before we move on to this upcoming week, there were but 2 teams in the entire NFL in week 1 that did not score a single touchdown. One of them was the New York Giants, and the other one was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that just tells you how good they looked offensively this week.
All right, so moving into the Broncos matchup, is there a chance Wilson plays at all, or is it definitely Justin Fields?
I hear right now preliminarily it looks like it's going to be Fields again for a second week. I still think ultimately they're going to lean back towards Russell Wilson whenever it is that he's available to play. But I think for this week they're leaning right now, from what I hear at least, and looking at the injury reports for that I've seen today thus far, it looks like it's kind of leaning Fields.
Okay, so unless Fields looks like Johnny Unitas, you believe that week 3 they'll go back to Wilson if healthy?
I think so. I think it still is Wilson. I'm not sure why. I think I would probably go with Fields at this point. He's at least gives an athletic dynamic and adds an element to their offensive game plan. And last year, really, if you look at their throwing metrics last year, Russell Wilson wasn't markedly or substantial better than Fields. In Field starts when he was healthy last year. In fact, they were fairly similar throwing the ball a year ago. And again, Fields is just a much more dynamic athlete. So that is kind of the trend these days for that dual threat running option, which Russell Wilson kind of did present earlier in his career, but he doesn't anymore. So I'm not sure really what the decision process was in the quarterback room for that, but I still do believe that is going to be the plan moving forward.
I know it's early in the season, but Mike Tomlin really loves these trap games and loves to go and just lose them. Is there any chance this happens this weekend?
Of course there's a chance, Brian. Like you said, the Steelers, they're known for really two things in the Tomlin era. Winning just slightly over half of their games, which everybody on the national level loves to celebrate, and losing games that they should never lose, which ultimately ends up coming back to bite them at the end of the season. So there's always an opportunity for the Steelers to play down to their opponents. Like I said, though, they better bankroll these easy wins while they can get them. This would qualify for one of those easier wins. For the Steelers to start out 2-0, and then look, it will be the Chargers then in week 3, which isn't an unwinnable game. The Chargers did win their opener actually, but they didn't look particularly healthy offensively either in Harbaugh's debut. So, the Steelers have some very winnable games early on, and they better capitalize on them if Mikey T wants to keep his all-important and beloved record of winning half of his games going strong.
Well, the Ravens looked all right. I mean, outside of the finale there and Lamar Jackson, what do you say, poo-pooing in his pants. The Browns and the Bengals looked awful. What's going on around the division, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, so to speak, because heading into this year, I would have suggested the Steelers, despite, again, winning half of their games last year and somehow squeaking into the playoffs to get eviscerated in their first game, I would have suggested that they were probably the 4th team out of 4 in this division, but it did not look good at all for practically anyone. I mean, Baltimore is going to be fine, and they played Kansas City fairly tightly, and I still like Baltimore to win that division. But Cincinnati looked absolutely appalling. They lose to New England, and Joe Burrow looked terrible. I don't know. Jamar Chase barely practiced this offseason because of a holdout with a contractual situation going on. So they got him in like literally the day before the game. They have some turnover in the running back situation there going on. They lost their longtime star Mixon in the offseason, so they're trying to, feel their way through these two backs and figure out maybe they get it together throughout the season. They're typically known for being a slower starting team at the beginning of the year, so who knows? Maybe they can get on track. Cleveland looked absolutely abysmal. Deshaun Watson doesn't even look like a starting quarterback. I honestly don't even know what happened to this guy. Yes, the off-season issues. Yes, the 30 sexual assault cases that were pending in civil court against him. But this guy, he's had time to heal up, to get healthy, to practice in the off season, get back on track. He was absolutely dynamic in his rookie year before I believe he tore his ACL after 7 or 8 games in his rookie year. But in those first 7 games, he had more passing yards than any player in NFL history to that point in their first 7 games. He looked like an absolute hit coming out of college into that rookie year. And it's even despite down years in Houston, he was an elite quarterback there when healthy. And I have no idea now. It looks like his own organization is leaking additional sexual assault cases against him. They're trying to cut bait any way they can with him. I wouldn't be surprised, again, speaking of the quarterback controversy, I think that might ensue in Atlanta. We might see Jameis Winston eating W's later on in the Cleveland Browns starting, outfit there with the Browns. So I do not like what I'm seeing out of this division overall. The Steelers maybe have an opportunity. Brian, coming into the year, I said, no way. This is the year it happens. This is the year that record of Tomlin being over 500 snaps. They're under 500. They don't make the playoffs. But now, after week 1, I'd say there's a shot, looking at the front end of the schedule and the remainder of that division, for the Steelers maybe to keep Mike Tomlin above 500 again somehow.
Now, Baker Mayfield seems like he's doing well since he left Cleveland, right?
Yeah, that's really just digging the knife deeper in the back.
We love it.
Like not only do you mortgage your entire future, give up some obscene amount of draft picks. I don't even know exactly how many it was. Multiple draft picks for many years to come. And they give Deshaun Watson the biggest contract in NFL history at the time, the most guaranteed money of any player ever at the time. And you essentially flush Baker Mayfield down the toilet. And the guy, all he does last year, throw over 4,000 yards, 30-plus touchdowns, And he is, I believe, top 3 right now after week 1 in QBR and QB rating. Of course, that was against the dreadful Washington Commanders, but he looked like last year was not a fluke. And it's just really making Cleveland look even worse for that Deshaun Watson situation.
It puts our smile on our face here at the studio, that's for sure. Anytime the Browns make the wrong decision, we love it. They're kind of like the Pittsburgh Pirates of the NFL. I do want to ask you a side question, because we do have to go here in about a minute or two. This has absolutely nothing to do with sports. I don't know if you're into politics at all, but did you happen to catch the debate last night?
I did. I watched actually the entire debate, I guess 95 minutes or so.
Okay, isn't that David Muir? Isn't he a little creepy?
Yeah, the questions, I don't know exactly what the moderators were doing. The questions, I don't think really kept things on track and delivered all of the viewers and, potential undecided voters the questions that they were looking for to get answers. And, of course, they also seemed to insinuate themselves, the moderators did, into the debate a bit, against Trump more than a couple times. It was maybe a little lopsided 3-on-1 debate tactics going on there during some stanzas of the debate. So I don't really know what we can take away from that debate last night.
All right, I have one quiz for you on the debate, okay? And I'll put you on the spot here. Can you give me one memorable moment from Kamala Harris, one policy she talked about that made her more appealing than Donald Trump?
I can't think of one single situation, honestly.
Right. I don't get it. She talked and talked and talked, and it didn't make any sense. I don't care which side of the aisle anybody's on. That wasn't the point of this. But I watched the debate, and it's like I've seen like 8th graders debate better than that. Did you not think that, Jay?
Yes. Quite frankly, I mean, give me a week of prep time and let me on the stage and let me see what I can do. I would love to give it a go. But in Kamala's defense, though, Brian, I have to say, she might not have talked about literally anything that made any sense, gave us nothing about any policies, but she did allude to some policies. We don't know what any of those are, but she kind of mentioned it a couple times at least.
Well, that's it, everyone. Jay Skapanak for President 2028. Make sure you check him out on YouTube. It's Scap Attack. Go there. There's some Lamar Jackson, some Mike Tomlin videos. There's some NFL videos, lots of NBA stuff. He's my favorite YouTuber. Thanks for joining the show, Jay.
My pleasure, Brian. As always, thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Take care, everyone. We'll be back on the other side of the break. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
Radio and the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, along with AK Nahas, are teaming up to present Cruisin' on the Ridge. Saturday, September 21st will be the final car cruise of the year, so make plans to come out and send summer out with a bang. If you have collected all of the dash plaques, you will be entered into a special drawing to win a special prize. Cruisin' on the Ridge will be from 12 to 4 p.m. at Beaver County Radio Studios at 4301 Dutch Ridge Road in Brighton Township. Beaver County Radio's Solid Gold Saturday host J.D. Merkel will be spinning tunes in the parking lot. There will also be food trucks, prize giveaways, raffles, and a 50-50. Cruisin' on the Ridge is being brought to you in part by Falcone's Moon Township Ford, eXp Realty, the Beaver County Transit Authority, Shop and Save Beer and Wine, the Rochester True Value Hardware Store, Friendly Federal Credit Union, AK Nahas Furniture and Appliance, the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company, and Beaver County Radio.
Football season is here, and East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Save is your tailgate headquarters. With all the food and beverages you need to make your tailgates and game day parties the best in town. Fire up the grill with their top quality meats, delicious burgers, hot dogs, and chicken wings. Get your cheese and meat platters, dips, and all your game day snacks. Check out their wide variety of wines and the beer cave. Don't miss out on amazing weekly specials and save money at the pump with every dollar you spend. Stop by your Shop and Save at the Tuska Plaza or East Rochester today for everything you need this football season.
Getting into the lineup and making the team is easy at Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Training camp is starting and you are invited. This is Coach Andy Dangle and I'm looking for new teammates. Membership is open to many organizations and groups throughout the county. Join my team at Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Details and applications are available now. Visit Freedom United Federal Credit Union today. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. We've had a heck of a show so far. One more segment to go. You can check out Ryan alongside co-host Mike Mueller every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. till noon on YouTube. Search Two Dumb Yinzers. They talk Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, and much, much more. That's Two D-U-M Yinzers. The Two Dumb Yinzers on YouTube. Also, make sure you check us out here on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Ryan, we've got a big game coming up. A chance to go 2-0.
I noticed you guys, you and Scap were talking a little bit, tiny bit about the debate the other night. Apparently, Kamala Harris was fact-checked at least one time and was incorrect because there are cats and dogs that are being killed in Ohio. They are the Bengals and the Browns.
Yes. There you go.
There you go. Trump was right on that one.
So, to stay on top of I believe going into the Week 9 break, the Steelers have to be in first place in the division to have a chance. They've got to beat the Browns twice, and I think they got to split with the Bengals and the Ravens. You know, if you can go 4-2 in the division, you can have the division lead. I think that those games versus the Eagles and Chiefs aren't as big if you can do that. So a big part of that is this weekend at Denver. It's a game you've got to win. It's a game on the road. What do the Steelers have to do to just settle it in the first half?
Well, I mean, as you know, by the way the Steelers play and as they have kind of historically played, you're never going to get it. The game's never going to be taken care of in the first half. I'm sure it's going to come down to the end of the game, the fourth quarter, something of this nature. But I do feel that the Steelers will have control a lot in this particular game. I think you have to get your top paid defense out there doing what they do, which they did very well last week. The linebacker play, the play from the new defensive backs with their interceptions. They have to continue to do that, which I think they're going to do very well against Bo Nix. If you were able to do that against Kirk Cousins and that offensive line and kind of what they have going on, I think you shouldn't have a problem with Denver. Of course, special teams always plays a big part. Excuse me, but the offense, Bryan, I think they're going to have to keep continuing and creating that identity for their offense, and they started to. And I liked what I seen, but there's still a few pieces missing, Bryan. And like I said, I would sure like to see them throw Cortland Sutton in the plane after the game on Sunday and bring him back to Pittsburgh because, you know what, he just might be what the passing game needs to complete the receiver core. I think the offense isn't going to be strong, but I think it's going to be somewhat impressive. I think the defense is going to come out and do what they do, and I do think that the Steelers will win this football game.
All right. Well, I was just checking the over and under. That's what I was doing while I was listening to you.
Yeah.
What would you think that the over under is for this game?
Well, it's in Denver. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think that Denver would probably be the favorite. I don't know. But
the Steelers are favored.
Oh, the Steelers are favored?
Yeah, by 3. And
okay.
The over under for the game.
Oh, the over under. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Looking at something else. The over under.
I love putting you on the spot.
41 points?
It's 36.5.
Oh, wow.
That's what they think of the Denver and Steeler offenses. 36.5. I mean, if you get like a special teams or a defensive touchdown, it's got to go over.
Considering that the Atlanta Falcons and the Pittsburgh Steelers scored 28 points total, I guess that doesn't shock me.
Right. I mean, you know, they've changed all the roles in the NFL. And I've noticed this over the past couple seasons. Like, the offense has all the advantage, I guess, unless you're George Pickens, then you're not allowed to put your hand on the guy's shoulder like they've been doing for decades. And they push off. That wasn't even a push off. Right. But other than that call, everything's favored for the offense. Yeah. It should be high flying. It should be 40-something to 40-something every game, 30-something to 40-something. And 36.5 is the over-under.
Yeah. As I said, I do believe that the Steelers will kind of break out of their shell a little bit this game. At the end of the day, you're going to say, you know what, that was a Steeler football game. Yes, we still do have our issues, but considering, all things considered, I think that the Steelers do have somewhat of an impressive game. As we mentioned in the first half of the show, fans just might be running out and buying their Super Bowl tickets after this Sunday because it will be, of course, they'll be 2-0 if that happens, still atop the division. But I do expect to see a decent game by the Steelers this week.
With the NFL switching from 16 games to 17 games a couple seasons ago, or was that last season? I think was the first time. They got rid of the fourth preseason game.
Yeah.
Around the NFL, I want to say it was the Cowboys and the Browns I was watching. At some point late in the game, combined, they had over 20 penalties. One team had 10, another team had 11 or 12. It felt like week 1 NFL was like the fourth preseason game where everybody was still trying to figure things out. There's just not enough, at practices, they don't hit as much as they used to. They have one less preseason game. So I'm thinking this week 2 is still going to be like the first week jitters where you're still messing up. And I'm just hoping that the Steelers just don't turn the ball over. If they don't turn the ball over, I don't see there's any way they can lose this game.
I got to be honest. I think that the defense is going to do a lot of things this weekend to equalize that. I can see them creating turnovers. I can see them, really becoming that equalizer, Bryan, in a game where the offense, an offensive team really hasn't proven itself like the Steelers quite yet. So, it's going to be a lot of fun, but as I said, I think that the defense does just enough, and then that's going to allow the offense to do a little bit more. I think we might be impressed again at the end of this week, but we're going to say, you know what, there's still a lot of things that need to be addressed.
One thing I'm going to ask is we're going to do a prediction at the end, correct? Before the end of the show here, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask a prop prediction before all of that.
Okay.
Does Justin Fields throw for a touchdown this game?
Yes.
I said throw. I didn't say run. I said throw.
I do think he's going to throw a touchdown. I do. As I said, again, Denver may be the worst team in the league. If they beat us, boy, I'm going to feel dumb next week. But I got to say, I think Denver is the worst team in the league, certainly the worst team in the AFC. So if anything like this happens, it will be this week, and it's going to make us look better than we actually are.
All right. Then after that, we come home to the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes.
And then then we're on the road again, I think, right?
To Indianapolis, yes.
Jeez, Pete. Okay, so this is a must-win. You've got to beat Denver, and you've got to at least win one of the next 2 games versus the Colts and the Chargers and go 3-1. Like I said, Cowher used to break the season down into 4 segments.
Yes.
You win 3 out of 4 games. That puts you 12-4 at the end of the season. I know we have an extra game now, but that puts you 12-4. You should win your division. You should have a rest game. You should have a home game, first playoff game. That's got to be their mentality, is to win 3 out of 4, especially with this easy schedule. Are they going to do that?
I think so. A matter of fact, I'm trying to pull the rest of the schedule up because I know in that second group of games that you would be talking about, we have the Cowboys. We have both New York teams, which I think both New York teams will certainly be beatable. Dallas may be the one team that could possibly come and give us a.
That's gonna be fun to watch. Parsons and Watt going back and forth.
It sure is. It really is.
It's at home versus Dallas, at the Raiders, at home versus the Jets, and at home versus the Giants,
and then the Washington Commanders. Bryan, I think there's potential to win some serious games. And as I was saying, yeah, right.
The Redskins?
The Redskins. But you know what? I do think that they do have potential to win a lot of these games, again, if they still continue to move forward in what it is that they're doing. You mentioned after these first 4, you have Dallas coming to Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be tough. But again, the Raiders, the Jets, the Giants, the Commanders, 4 games that's totally winnable in my opinion. Got to stack them early because that second half, as Scap said, is going to be a brutal gauntlet of teams.
What if Bo Nix does like a CJ Stroud on us?
You can't rule anything out, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, here's the thing. I remember we lost to the Browns in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you some of the, and I followed the Steelers all year. I knew everybody to the practice squad. I couldn't even tell you some of the guys we had on defense that game. They were so banged up. The attrition just crushed us that season. We were 11-0 to start the year.
Was that season?
Yes.
Yeah,
and then everybody got hurt, and we beat the Colts and lost like 5 other games.
Yeah.
We're healthy. We are 100% healthy on defense. You've got to win this game. You've got to put pressure on the young quarterback. I can't see them just moving the ball. They might get a play or two here or there where there's a breakdown, but I can't see Bo Nix moving the ball consistently.
Again, you know what? Now we have something to go by, Brian. A week ago, we were saying we have to get a feel what this team's going to do when they have all their starters in the game from beginning to end. Now we have something to compare from. What I'm seeing is last week what the Steelers were able to do and the way they stopped Kirk Cousins in that offense. Again, 53 yards in the second half. 0 points they gave it up in the second half. This gives me the confidence and the feeling to think that, you know what, we could go to Denver and we could, play a pretty good football game and walk out with the win. I think that will go far if we do, again, get this win because these stretch of games is where we need to stack them. So let's get them when we can get them.
All right, so, Ryan, we've got a couple minutes left. What is your prediction for the score of this game, and who is your top player on offense and your top player on defense?
I say the Steelers score some points. It's going to be 29-13, give or take, 29-10, 29-13. My players on offense and my players on defense, I think for the defense, just pick a name. I'm going to go with back-to-back good weeks by Dante Jackson, of course, had the interception, a couple nice breakups on the defensive side of the ball. And on offense, you know what? I'm going to go with Pat Freiermuth. They seem to really start developing something with their tight end, and I think you'll see him more moving forward. And the fact that the receivers didn't pick up last week like you thought they would, you wanted them to. I have a lot of interest in watching Pat Freiermuth as the season unfolds.
All right, I like it. I'm going to go with the Steelers 24 and the Denver Broncos 10.
Okay.
I like the under 34. Give me 34 points. My players that I think are going to do very well are going to be Peyton Wilson on defense. I think he's going to be making a lot of tackles. And I think the Steelers are going to have the lead, and they're going to lean on the run game. And I believe Najee Harris is going to have a nice game.
I hope you're right. It sounds like a game plan to me, brother.
All right, we've got about 20 seconds left here. I want everybody to go onto YouTube right after this show and check out One Man's Opinion on Sports, my new YouTube page. Please go on there. I posted a video this morning. Check it out. It's a little intro. Cool. It's 3.5 minutes. Please go on there, like, subscribe, share. Check Ryan and I out on The Two Dumb Yinzers and One Man's Opinion this Sunday at 11 a.m. The Steelers pregame. You can check us out on either channel, and we will be doing a live pregame show for everybody. It's been a pleasure. Ryan, did you have fun?
Great show as always, my man. I enjoyed it 100%. Yes.
All right, everyone. We'll be back next week from 4 to 6 on Wednesday. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll see you back here in 166 hours.
You've been listening to One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio. Don't forget, you can watch the show on WBVP-WMBA Facebook page anytime. Tune in next Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio. You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
Fun. Nobody on your sideline ever gave up, even though you were down 21 points, 4:10 left in the third quarter.